Thanks largely to weather interruptions and some very stubborn batting, County Championship Week 7 produced 5 draws and only 4 outright results. This round was less about chaos and collapses and more about pressure building in both divisions. But as always, there was some drama, there was some tension, and there was one really big surprise. Let's get to it. Starting in Division 1, Nottinghamshire remained top after drawing with Hampshire at the Utility Bowl, but this was not a comfortable draw. Nottinghamshire made 333 in the first innings, with Ben Duckett continuing his ridiculous season by making 127. Jack Haynes added 82. Hampshire replied with 196, thanks largely to Fergus O'Neill taking 5 for 49. At that point, Notts looked in total control, and then Hampshire finally showed some fight. In the second innings, they declared on 457 for 5. Jake Lehman was outstanding with 131 not out. Nick Gubbins made 81. Ben Brown made 65, and suddenly Nottinghamshire were staring at a potentially awkward final day chase. In the end, Notts finished on 182 for 3 and comfortably held on for the draw. So Hampshire stayed bottom, but this felt important psychologically. After 4 defeats in 5, they badly needed resistance. Nottinghamshire, though, remained top on 93 points, but for the first time in a long time, they looked slightly human. At Headingley, Yorkshire produced the result of the round by absolutely hammering Surrey. Yorkshire won by an innings and 127 runs. Yorkshire made 517 in their first innings. Adam Lyth made 109. Johnny Bairstow made 111. Harry Brook made 79. George Hill made 73. This was a Yorkshire team batting like every person's trying to avenge last week's 377-run defeat to Warwickshire. Surrey then collapsed for 153 in reply. Matt Milnes took 5 for 44. Jordan Thompson took 4 for 36. And yes, Surrey were asked to follow on. They improved second time around, making 237, but they still lost by an innings. That is Surrey's first defeat of the season, and it's a huge result for Yorkshire, who move on to 67 points and suddenly look very alive again after a difficult start to the year. Surrey remain in the title race on 78 points, but all those draws suddenly feel a little less valuable once that unbeaten record has disappeared. Warwickshire and Glamorgan drew at Aitchison in a match dominated by Glamorgan's batting. Warwickshire made 238 in the first innings. Glamorgan replied with 450. Colin Ingram made 131. Ben Kellaway made 89. Chris Cook made 74, and Glamorgan once again looked absurdly composed for a promoted side. Warwickshire then closed on 174 for 3 in their second innings before the match ended in a draw. No dramatic finish, no collapse, just solid survival batting. But the bigger story is the table. Warwickshire moved to 86 points, Glamorgan moved to 82, and now Glamorgan are kind of in the Division 1 title conversation, which is remarkable. They came up from Division 2, and instead of sort of scrapping against relegation, they spent the first half of the season really showing that they belong. Somerset and Sussex also drew at Taunton, but Somerset will feel like they let one get away. Somerset made 438. Tom Abel made another 100. James Rue made 78. TKC made runs again. Then Somerset bowled Sussex out for 171 and enforced the follow-on. At that point, Somerset were overwhelming favourites to win, but Sussex survived. Tom Clark made 68 in the second innings. Daniel Hughes dug in. Rain interruptions helped, and Sussex escaped with a draw. That matters because Somerset takes 16 points instead of the 22 or 23 that they were eyeing up. Those lost points matter in tight title races, and Sussex, meanwhile, continue to quietly accumulate points despite that deduction earlier on in the season that I know I keep going on about, but it's important. At Chelmsford, Essex beat Leicestershire by 7 wickets, one of the only 4 outright wins in the round. Leicestershire made 203 and 198. Essex made 279 and then chased 123. No problem at all. Jamie Porter was excellent. Simon Harmer kept things tight as ever. Matt Critchley guided the chase. Professional, ruthless, efficient. And Essex are suddenly back in the mix after a slightly shaky opening month. Leicestershire, meanwhile, remain winless, and now we're reaching that stage where competitive draws are no longer an option. So, Division 1 after Week 7 looks like this. Nottinghamshire top on 93 points. Warwickshire second on 86. Glamorgan third on 82. Somerset fourth on 80. Surrey fifth on 78. Essex sixth on 76. And Sussex seventh on 75. Yorkshire eighth on 67. And Leicestershire are 9th and Hampshire are bottom in 10th place, which means the title race is absolutely alive. Now, on to Division 2. Now, Durham remained top after drawing a colossal run fest with Kent at Beckenham. Kent made 523, Ben Compton made 181 not out, Daniel Bell Drummond made 74, Chris Benjamin added useful runs. Durham then replied with 645 for 8 declared. David Bedingham made 148, Ben McKinney made 121, Casey Aldridge made 101, Ollie Robinson made 91. It was batting heavy, attritional cricket, the kind of game where bowlers finished the match looking like they've just returned from military service. The match drifted into a draw, but Durham moved to 105 points and still looked comfortably the strongest side in Division 2. Lancashire and Worcestershire also drew at Old Trafford after weather interruptions wrecked large parts of that game. Very little cricket, minimal momentum, lots of frustration. Lancashire remain in the promotion conversation, but these rain-affected draws are starting to slow them down. Middlesex, I'm wearing the jumper this week as well, but they lost to Derbyshire at Lords in one of the standout performances of the round. Derbyshire won by 125 runs. Wayne Madsen made another century because apparently time no longer applies to him. But the real star was Ben Aitchison. Night watchman, 100, 5 wickets in the match. That's not a scorecard, that's a fever dream come true. Derbyshire move on to 72 points and suddenly look relevant again in the promotion race. Middlesex remains second on 81, but Durham are pulling away slightly. Let's talk about Northamptonshire, who beat Gloucestershire by 2 wickets in Bristol in another tight finish. Ben Sanderson once again starred with the ball. Northants chased the target 8 wickets down, and Gloucestershire remained bottom after another desperately frustrating defeat. That's now 4 defeats from 7 matches, and they're already beginning to look slightly detached from the rest of the division. So Division 2 now looks like this. Durham on top with 105 points. Middlesex second on 81. Lancashire third on 76. Derbyshire fourth on 72. Kent fifth on 71. Worcestershire sixth on 70. Northamptonshire seventh on 69. Gloucestershire bottom on 34. And Durham increasingly look like the best side in the division by some distance. Now then, players of the week. Ben Duckett continues to look outstanding for Nottinghamshire. Jake Lehmann's unbeaten 100 may genuinely prove season-defining for Hampshire. Adam Lyth and Johnny Bairstow rolling back the years for Yorkshire. Matt Milnes blew Surrey away. Colin Ingram continues to be a hugely important player for Glamorgan. Tom Abel and James Rue keep piling up runs for Somerset. Ben Compton's 181 not out for Kent was immense. David Bedingham continues to look a class above in Division 2. And Ben Aitchison produced the most gloriously county championship performance imaginable. Night watchman, 100 plus 5 wickets. County cricket is wonderful. So that was week 7 of this year's County Championship, Divisions 1 and Division 2. 4 results, 5 draws, a huge Yorkshire statement, Glamorgan refusing to go away, Durham still dominating Division 2, and the Division 1 title race tightening beautifully. Now we're talking. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do remember to give it a like, a thumbs up, and comment below with who you thought gave the best performance of the round. And if you're enjoying my content, please do consider subscribing to my channel because it really helps me out and you get to see more content just like this. Until next time, I will see you soon.